Hi, this is a continuation of the battle report that I did for Blood on the Blade. You can see the first part of this battle report in my review of Blood on the Blade. I'm going to put the link in the description below. So now we continue with poor Angus that has been taken down by one of the skeletons. So Sobek keeps hitting the skeleton closest to him as the other mercenaries get into position, while Richard switches from his crossbow to his sword. The skeleton counters and tries to hit Sobek, but it misses luckily, and the other skeleton simply cannot get through between the other skeleton and the boulders. Regdar moves in and engages the skeleton closest to Sobek, while Mordecai moves a bit farther away, just ready to use an offensive spell or a healing spell if needed. Regdar manages to take down the opposing skeleton, and Richard takes position next to the remaining undead. Richard and the skeleton trade blows. Richard is wounded, but Sobek manages to help Richard by smashing his mace on the skeleton's skull. The skeleton goes down. Mordecai heals Richard, and so the group continues marching on, having to leave Angus behind. As they move eastward, they hear some noise, and suddenly a ghoul springs from out of the boulders. Seeing its next prey, the ghoul charges at the group, but Richard intercepts the ghoul. After they fight for a bit, Richard manages to evade and parry all of the ghoul's attacks, and he takes down the ghoul quite easily. The group keeps marching north. I had the option of taking them towards the ruins on the right side, but I decided to go in the middle of those trees because if there were too many enemies, I could create a sort of like bottleneck situation. And indeed, a group of zombies were hiding in the forest. They started moving towards the group. However, Sobek and Richard managed to intercept most of them, but one of the zombies decided to go after Mordecai. So Regdar had to intercept that zombie. Sobek and Richard started to trade blows with the zombies, and Sobek proved to be quite resistant to the attacks of the zombies. They simply could not score a hit thanks to his shield. So they quickly destroyed two of the zombies and managed to get to the zombie leader that was taken down after a few more hits. Regdar was having some trouble with the zombie that was trying to go towards Mordecai, so Richard went to his aid and managed to finish off the zombie. Richard didn't notice, but he actually got bitten by one of the zombies, so now he was in danger of getting killed if he was not careful. Nonetheless, because he, Sobek, and Regdar were the ones with the highest defense in the group, they started marching forward, as Sobek flanked a bit and switched to his crossbow to provide some support. As the group approached the ruins, they saw something shining just amongst the rubble. It was probably some sort of treasure, something valuable. But then a group of three ghouls, or rather a pack of ghouls, came almost out of nowhere. They were just hiding behind the ruins, and they probably set up that precious loot to attract some foolish adventurers. Ghouls are incredibly fast and vicious. Just one of them was easy enough to handle, but a group of three, one rushed past Richard and went towards Sobek, taking him down immediately. Richard engaged one of the ghouls as Regdar tried to avenge Sobek. The other ghoul started going towards Mordecai, and Regdar, in a desperate attempt, tried to finish off his ghoul, but he simply could not score a hit. Richard had better luck with his own ghoul. He finished it off and went to help Mordecai, but it was too late. Mordecai had been taken down by the ghoul's vicious claws. So Richard kept fighting on and managed to take down the ghoul. Regdar kept on fighting until he managed to take down his own ghoul as well. Before Regdar took down that ghoul, Richard managed to secure the loot that they found in the ruins. Sadly, Angus did not survive the fight. I made the roll on the table to see what happened to him, and he died. And Zobek was captured. Somebody took Zobek when the group were distracted. And Mordecai, luckily, he managed to survive, but he got a really nasty wound in his leg. So now he won't be able to move as fast as before. Nonetheless, they recovered the loot, and by spending the victory points, they managed to become a bit stronger. But now Zobek has been taken, probably by some slavers. So the next encounter will feature a rescue the prisoners type of mission. I'm really interested in rescuing Zobek because when I used one of the points of the loot to obtain a very powerful shield. It's probably magical, and Zobek is the one who is specializing in using shields. So I really need to get Zobek back. It's too bad that Angus got taken down. I really want a barbarian character in the group. When I get a chance to recruit more adventurers, I'm probably going to recruit another member of Angus's band or clan. So, some further thoughts on Blood on the Blade. A really fun game, very fast to play, and it's quite lethal. In Blood on the Blade, when you roll your attack dice, that determines if you hit your opponent, but also determines the damage. And if you roll doubles, or perhaps triples, it adds to the damage. So it's highly lethal. You have to be really careful. You don't know if a hit is going to take you down immediately. And I think next time I'm going to add a couple of house rules, or rather one simple house rule that is adding sort of like automatic hits and automatic misses. If you roll only once, that's going to be a miss, and if you roll only sixes, that's going to be a hit. And I'm adding this house rule because the zombies had a really tough time hitting Zobek, so I can see some scenarios or encounters where perhaps one character is really well armored and it's going to be simply impossible for some enemies to injure that character, and that's going to be a bit boring. So I'm going to add that, let's say, sort of like automatic crit sort of situation. And I think that I should have waited with Angus at the beginning. Perhaps switch to his ranged attacks and just have Zobek luring the enemies into position so that they were taken down with ranged weapons. Because I wasn't expecting this game to be so lethal, and that's really exciting for me. You really have to think about protecting your group of adventurers. So I highly recommend that you get Blood on the Blade once again. The game is being supported quite well. If you go to the website, I'm going to put the link in the description below. You have a lot of free stuff and new enemies, new weapons. There's going to be a free expansion coming out soon, and the game is currently discounted, if I'm not mistaken. It's cost like $6 at the moment of this review, so it's just so affordable. Great value overall. It's so fun to play. You can play it almost immediately. It takes about like 1 hour when you are, or less, when you are experienced playing it. So definitely get Blood on the Blade. I don't know if I will be able to make another battle report soon enough, or in the near future. Maybe in a couple of weeks or more. I know I'm really busy with reviews at the moment, but I really enjoyed doing this little battle report. There are a lot of areas of improvement, but well, I'm going to handle things somewhat casually. So don't be too surprised if suddenly, perhaps in 3 weeks or so, I bring out a new battle report of Blood on the Blade. Well, thanks for watching this video. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. See you later.